Hi everyone, thanks for clicking on the video. I will say for my channel subscribers and my normal viewers, this one's going to be all about ATVs. So if you're not into ATVs, it's not going to hurt my feelings if you skip this one. However, it'd be great if you stuck around. Maybe you'll get a kick out of something I do. For any new viewers that happen to click on this just because of the ATV label on the video, welcome to the channel. If you like it, please subscribe or check out other videos. So as mentioned, this video is going to be all about ATVs. I'm going to do kind of two parts. One is just a 2,000 kilometer review. I'll try to keep that quick. And then the second part is I need to change the front and rear differential fluid or oil. We'll see how that goes. I've never done it before, but as mentioned, and before I get into the 2,000 kilometer review, I will say that I did a more full review last fall. I think that's episode number 6. I'll put the link to that video in the description if any of you want to click on that or go back and watch that. But as mentioned, let me flip on the key. I'll let everything load up. Hopefully you can see here 2,005 kilometers. I have gone over 2,000 kilometers, which in miles is around, I think, 1,250 miles for my friends in the US. Again, I'm not going to go into every little detail. I did a more thorough review last fall on this machine, and pretty much everything I said last fall in that video still holds true. It's been a good machine. I was real hesitant to buy a Chinese ATV, but I just, due to several reasons, mainly not the cost, but obviously to save a few thousand euros was nice. But as I say in a lot of my videos, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Here in Lithuania, pretty much everybody, or the vast majority of people, go with CFMOTO. There are some Polaris and Yamahas, etc., Can-Ams around, but generally people drive CFMOTOs, so they don't know how to work on them here. Parts are readily available, etc. So again, it's been a good machine for what I use it for. I'm an old man. I don't just putter around the yard. I actually do use it for a bit of work. I've got a dump trailer that I tow behind, and I haul some gravel and other odds and ends. I do have a snow plow for it. In the wintertime, we don't get a whole lot of snow here, but I do use it a couple times a winter. Works great. But the point I'm trying to make is, I don't really work this thing hard. I don't ride it like a teenager, so maybe that's why I've had such good luck. It's done everything that I've asked it to do. The only breakdown or repair that I've had to do is this little emergency brake, and you got to set that or an alarm goes off. The cable actually broke on that thing, so I had to install a cable which runs all the way back here to the back end of the machine. So it wasn't an easy job, but at the same time, it wasn't that bad. If I can manage it, I'm sure anybody can. But been a good machine. It's got its faults. It's basically got no protection underneath from sticks and rocks and other things that you can land on. You can add that on aftermarket, but I would say CFMOTO should put some type of protection, even to protect these little CV boots, etc. The shifting on it is, could be smoother. I can live with it. Some of the low end power is kind of lacking. Like if you're on a incline or a hill and you go to start out in high range, this thing really struggles to get moving. You kind of gotta switch to low range, but everything else works fine. No complaints. Back to the whole Chinese thing. Before you get too judgmental, those of you that have Polaris or Yamaha or Can-Am or any of the others, you would be shocked at how many components in your machines came from China. I'll just leave it at that. Again, a Yamaha or a a Polaris is not a Chinese machine, but there are many components in those machines that come from China. That's just how the world works. I haven't used the winch a whole lot. I've never had to use it to pull myself out of trouble, but I use it for other things, moving some heavy things and pulling a plow through the garden. But, you know, would I do it again? Probably. You know, it's really been good. No problems, no complaints. Would I rule out getting another Polaris? That's what I had before this machine. I wouldn't rule it out. You know, our Polaris and Yamaha and Can-Am, the more well-known brands, especially in America, are they better? I think they are, but they're not thousands and thousands of dollars or euros better, and that is the price difference between the CFORCE, the CFMOTO, CFORCE, and the Polaris, etc. So I've already gone on long enough, but all in all, I'm real happy with the machine. I really have nothing to complain about. Take that for whatever it's worth. So we're ready to start the front and rear differential oil change on the ATV. As mentioned in the previous clip, I've never done this before, so should be interesting. A do-it-yourself video may turn into a comedy for some of you, but I'm sure I'll be able to wing it. But what you're going to need for this job, my understanding as of right now, is obviously a oil pan or a drip pan to drain all the old oil out. In my case, you're going to need around a liter of, I've got fully synthetic 75W90. I could have also used 80W90. Tried to get the best stuff I could. You are going to need an 8mm hex. You're going to need, and this is where things get a little confusing for me, some way to get the new oil into the front end diff after you drain the old oil out. You can see this bottle comes with a handy little flexible tube that I think is not going to work. I think it's not long enough. I have this separate little extractor or siphon tube that may work better. Time will tell. Hang on to see what happens with that. Some of the optional items, but I would recommend them, is, you know, either brake cleaner or an engine degreaser. In my case, I don't think I really need it. Everything's really clean. You can see I don't have a lot of muck and dirt and grease around the plugs, so I think I'm lucky, but most ATVs do not look like this by the time you change the differential oil. And it's always good to clean around those drain plugs, etc., to make sure you don't get any grit in there. And some light sources. I've got a standard flashlight here, and I really like these little lights that you strap to your head. You can get a little more precise. And then lastly, some floor dry or kitty litter. I just got a suspicion I'm going to get oil on the floor during this job. Not so much draining the old oil, but trying to get the new oil in. So I was able to crack loose the fill bolt at the top. I haven't removed it yet. I was able to crack loose the drain bolt here at the bottom. So I'll remove the rest of that. This is where it can get messy. So have your rags ready. We'll see how messy it gets. But I want to get this out and not fall into the drain pan. And I'll explain that here in a second. So there she goes. Boy, that looks real nice yet. I probably didn't need to change it, but everything looks real nice. You can see that some really nice looking stuff that's draining out of there looks brand new. But more importantly, these drain plugs, or this drain plug, is magnetic. So I guess you need to check this. Make sure there's no metal filings. And I'm seeing some very fine metal filings, not metal filings, just some thicker material on the drain plug. I'm not worried about that. All the videos and reviews I've seen said if it's the first time you're changing it, you will have some residue, but these are not filings as such, so I don't think I've got any issues with the gears. I'll do the same in the front, but looks good so far. And sorry, forgot to mention one other optional piece of gear for this job is a torque wrench. The reason I say it's optional, I'm sure you could just do it manually. You kind of know how tight it was when you loosened it, but I do have a torque wrench. It's supposed to be 24 Newton meters, whatever the heck that is, or 18 foot-pounds. So I've got it all set up, and I'm going to go ahead and tighten in the drain plug now. So again, here's my dilemma. If you can see in there, there's the fill plug. By the way, I did get the drain plug back in. Torque wrench broke loose just when I expected it to. But again, my dilemma is to get the oil back in without making a big mess and spilling a bunch of this expensive synthetic oil. You can see the container already has a little flexible tube on it, but my fear is that it's not long enough for me to get it in there with all this in the way. So what I think I'm going to do is use my handy dandy little siphon or syringe here and just suck it into there. I got a lot more flexibility and length with that. Plus, supposedly I need to put in 0.4 of a liter, which is less than half of this container. Obviously, you just got to keep dumping it in until it starts running out, kind of like the rear differential on an automobile. So as you can see, or maybe you can't see, I was able to transfer the oil into my little syringe. I've got a rag to start catching, and I'm going to start pushing oil in. So I got it in. I filled the oil until it started running out. It did take about the 0.4 liters that it said it would. Got everything, the fill plug back in and torqued down. So I'm moving on to the front. Little tighter quarters in here than in the back. Maybe I should have done the front first, but you can see down here, there's the fill plug, which is going to be tricky to get into, but I'll manage. And obviously the drain plug is underneath, and I'll start on that now. Okay, just getting the drain plug pulled on the front diff. Boy, I will say that it sure seems like these bolts or plugs are on way tighter than the 18 foot-pounds that they're supposed to be. I really had to lean into it to really to break them loose, at least on the front. And if you can see there, this oil looks really good. I mean, it looks brand new. Once again, I'm checking the end of the magnetic plug. If I see any metal filings, you know, we're in trouble. I don't. Everything looks real clean and good. So we'll move on to next steps. All right, time to tighten down the drain plug. Just get the torque wrench on there. And there you could hear she broke loose at 18 pounds of torque, or 24 Newton meters. Again, whatever that means, it's got to be a metric thing that I don't understand. But drain plug's in. Now it's just a matter of getting 0.23, or about a quarter of a liter of fluid back in. We'll see what kind of a mess I make doing that. So I've had to go old school on the front. Apparently the fill hole is a smaller diameter, even though it's the same size bolt. Smaller diameter hole, so the hose from my little syringe doesn't fit. So again, I've had to go old school. I'm just doing a funnel and a hose that will fit, and I'm just gonna have to eyeball it. I'm sure it's gonna make a mess, but as long as I get the oil in there where it's full, we're okay. Well, it's done. I'm sure it's fine. All the fluid has been changed in the front and rear differential. I'll be honest with you, and as predicted at the beginning of the clip, I was suspecting that getting the new oil back into the transfer case was going to be the hardest and messiest part, and I was right. It's really hard to maneuver in there. It's hard to get the hose in there and to guesstimate exactly how much oil you're putting in until it flows all over the floor and everything else. So I got a little bit of a mess to clean up on the floor. Back to the beginning of the video. Definitely have some rags handy or some floor dry. If you're gonna do it on a garage floor, you're probably gonna need it, but all in all, it went well. I'm glad I did it. It's taken care of. Better than taking it to the shop, but not much. That wasn't a lot of fun, but hope you guys got a kick out of that. And just to wrap things up, for those of you that stuck around this long, thanks for watching the video. Obviously there's much better videos on YouTube, more professional, about how to do what I just did, but I figured you guys might get a kick out of how I do things. Plus I get a sense on some of those other videos, they don't show you all the trials and tribulations and issues that they run into. They have to run into the same issues I ran into, but nonetheless, that's it for this one. Thanks again, everyone.